In today's legal for you, legal on for, the holidays are a time of giving, and for some that means giving large monetary gifts to family members. You don't have to worry about the small gifts, but you do need to be aware of the tax consequences involving the larger gifts, especially because there can be a lot of confusion about what a person can and cannot give away. Our legal contributor Craig Wisnum is here, and first off, Craig, let's talk about what you mean by small and what you mean by big.
Well, I guess it depends on your situation.
Exactly.
If it's me, I think a video game for me is a big gift. So it depends.
Okay.
But obviously, we're not talking about the little things that get put in people's stockings and such. And different people have different amounts. But what we're talking about are things that add up to a few $1,000s or more than that. And as the simple result of all this is essentially you can give away as much as you want, except for the very, very, very wealthiest people. It's not going to make any difference. And there's a lot of confusion about this because there are some limits about gifts that don't count.
Okay, explain that.
Well, a lot of people are aware of something that we've had in place for a long time, and it was the $10,000 limit.
Right.
About you could only give $10,000 per year to a person, which when I told my parents about, they didn't want to take advantage of that the first time. But that's been around for quite some time, and so a lot of times people think, well, there's no way I can give more than that it's going to cause income tax consequences, or I'm not allowed to do it. And the fact is that really doesn't happen. First of all, that number has now been increased for inflation to $13,000. But that's kind of just the freebie, where the government doesn't even care about keeping track of it. And that really was designed to keep, back when it was started, to be the gifts that people normally make for birthdays and Christmas and those type things. And there's a lot more than most people, but the idea was, okay, if it's below that, you don't have to think about that. But what happens if you give more than that is not that you actually have to pay a tax, and there's no income tax consequences from a gift. It's just that if you give away more than that per year, you have to start keeping track of it. Technically, you have to file a gift tax return saying I gave, $100,000. If you, at some point in your life, saying, you know what, I want to give my house away to my child for some reason. All you have to do is file a return to keep track of that. And if you're not someone that's got, say, more than, currently the law is $5 million, it's never going to make a difference as far as anybody's tax is concerned.
And why do you have to keep track of that?
Well, because if you are in that range of super taxes, that you have, say, more than $5 million, although the law could make it $1 million limit, and you give away more than that during your lifetime, eventually you start to have to pay gift tax. But if you're below that limit, it never really makes a difference from anybody. And so technically you have to report it, but it's never going to really make a difference to the IRS or anybody else.
And usually people who are making those kinds of gifts don't worry about that stuff anyway, right?
Exactly. But a lot of times it is a situation where people might not have a huge multi-million-dollar estate, but they're looking at one time for some reason gifting a home or gifting a business or paying off a loan for a child, and they think they can't do that. And the simple answer is they normally can. Yeah.
And the $10,000 and less where you have to do nothing, you don't even have to report that on?
No, you don't have to report that for any purposes, etc. And as I said, it's now $13,000. So most people don't even have to think about keeping track of it. But if you need to go over it, you can, and there's really no tax problem with that.
That would be me. I don't need to even think about it. All right, thank you very much.